We have made it halfway through 2026, which is pretty crazy. So today I'm going to give you my favorite movies that I have seen this year so far. So let's do it. Hey guys, how's it going? So I have seen a few more movies this year than I have in the past few years. Definitely not as many as I would like to. There's still movies I have not seen this year that I would really like to get around to seeing, and I'm sure I can think of a few movies off the top of my head that I have not seen that if I had, they probably would make this list. But as for now, we're halfway through the year. These are the movies I've seen. I'm going to give you 5 of my favorite movies that I've seen this year, and then I'm also going to give you an honorable mention of a movie I just saw last night that was just about to crack the top 5 but couldn't, but I still really wanted to talk about it. Before I start though, make sure you guys drop your list down below in the comment section. I would love to see your best movies that you have seen this year. Also, I don't know if I'm gonna make a worst movies list because I try not to see bad movies, so even the movies that are on the bottom of my list aren't movies that I necessarily hate. But if that's a video you guys would like to see, there's like 2 movies I could talk about with that. With all that said, let's get started with my honorable mention, which is Over Your Dead Body. So this is a movie I actually saw last night, and I've been heard it was really good. It premiered at South by Southwest, and there was a lot of people raving about it. 2 specific YouTubers I watch a lot said that they absolutely loved it, so I was really excited to go in and see this movie. And yes, it's funny. It's really, really funny. It stars Jason Segel. It also stars Samara Weaving, and they're really funny in this movie. The basic premise is that they both go up to this cabin for the weekend, and they're both planning to kill each other. And that's all I'll say, but yeah, their marriage is in a rough spot. And what I thought was so great about this movie was the fact that it just felt like a good old-fashioned comedy mixed in with some other things that I wasn't expecting. And I had fun with it. I was laughing. The cast is great. There's some great side characters that pop up later in the movie. And the movie is also just has these moments where it's like it'll show you a key for too long, or someone will say something and you're like, okay, that seemed off. How is that going to come back into play? And it does come back into play, and it's really cool the way the movie does that. It's also surprisingly gory and violent, which as someone who kind of likes gore as a weird person, that was pretty fun to see. And yeah, I had a really good time with it. Now, it's not my favorite movie of the year, as you can tell. It's not like all the jokes landed for me, and it's not like anything that was like a grand character piece or a fantastic story or anything, but it was just a really fun movie, really funny, and the actors did a great job. So overall, really recommend that one. Coming in at number 5 for me is going to be Send Help. Now, this is a movie directed by Sam Raimi, and it stars Rachel McAdams as well as Dylan O'Brien. And basically, Rachel McAdams plays this character that's good at her job, but is also very socially awkward. She doesn't really understand social skills at all. And the movie makes that clear with some gross close-ups of like tuna on her lips and stuff like that. And anyway, she's been working at this job for a while. She wants to get this promotion. Dylan O'Brien is the son heir to take over for CEO and does not give her the promotion, but allows her to come on this business trip because she's good at her job and he needs her. And plane goes down. They end up on a deserted island, and now she is more so the boss in that scenario. And what I loved about this movie so much is basically all kind of comes from Sam Raimi. He's a director I just really like. Any director that can have a specific sense of style, rhythm to them is one that either it doesn't work for me or it really works for me. And Sam Raimi is one that absolutely does work for me. I really love the early Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films. The Evil Dead movies I also enjoy. There's a couple others, like Drag Me to Hell is a movie I really like as well. And what he's able to do is take a simple concept of kind of Castaway mixed with Misery and just make it his own flavor. Rachel McAdams is really good in this movie. She's really strong. And she's an actress that absolutely shines in this film. She has a great scene where she fights a pig, and it's really gory and nasty, and I absolutely love that. And I love the mix of genres they mix into this movie. Like I said, Castaway meets Misery, and it was really cool. Another standout is absolutely Dylan O'Brien. He made me laugh so many times during this movie. He plays an absolute dickhead, and every time you think he's about to have a character arc, he totally backtracks, and it's so funny. And one thing he does really well in this movie is he has great eye acting. There is a scene in this movie where he is only able to move his eyes, and it's so tense. I was on the edge of my seat for that one. Overall, just a really, really fun movie. I'm not sure if I loved where it went in the third act and how characters were eventually portrayed, but overall, a really enjoyable movie. Really recommend this one. If you guys like survival thrillers, if you like dark comedies, and if you like just regular thrillers overall, can't recommend Send Help enough. You should go watch it. Coming in at number 4 is going to be Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Now, this is a movie that came out in earlier September. There is, I think it played at some film festivals because I just saw some buzz about it recently. And this was a really interesting movie because you kind of go into it not knowing what it's really about, and it's just this really, really fun journey. Like, throughout the first 90% of this movie, I thought this movie was going to be maybe my favorite movie of the year. There is just a lot of good comedy woven in through it. There's some good tension thrown into it, and every so often it reveals more and more about what's happening. It's just a really creative concept about AI and everything infused to it, and I don't want to spoil anything here. That's why I'm not really talking about specifics with story or anything like that. But overall, just a really, really fun watch. Notable names like Sam Rockwell, Zazie Beetz, Michael Pena are in this movie, and everyone plays just a really interesting side character, and I really like that. There's also the girl from Ted Lasso in this film, and she plays a good character as well. And the movie manages to go to some really dark subject matter, but also make it kind of funny at the same times, which I was really surprised by. I just loved how creative and innovative it was, and how much I was just having a good time throughout most of the movie. Now, I keep saying most because I do think in the last like 15 minutes or so, the movie does go a bit too weird in my opinion. It goes a bit too crazy, and I just kind of fell off with it, and it wasn't really vibing with me anymore. And over here, good vibes only. So unfortunately, if a movie's not vibing with me, that's how it is. But just a really fun and innovative movie, and a really creative concept, and a really fun cast. And if you guys want just a cool movie to go see, go watch Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Coming in at number 3 is going to be 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Now, if you guys saw my review of 28 Years Later, just 28 years later, it was a really good movie. I had a really good time with it. I thought that the controversy was interesting because when I walked out of that movie, I was like, oh man, that was awesome. I really loved that. But then I go online and there's a lot of people disappointed by that. Now, I'm not like the biggest fan of 28 Days Later and Weeks. I've seen them. I think they're great, but it's not like a franchise I'm super obsessed with. So 28 Years Later had some controversy with the way it was done, and it wasn't really that big of a deal for me. I thought it was cool that it just infused a lot of different ideas, and it had just so many things that you could talk about when you left that movie. I loved how potent it was. And this movie, I feel like, kind of goes to a bit more of a familiar place. It's not as out there as 28 Years Later was, but this movie is still on the same level for me, maybe even a bit better. I had a really good time with 28 Years Later, Bone Temple. It manages to be absolutely terrifying with the Jimmy cult and what they do to people, especially that scene in the barn. Me and my dad were watching this movie and we're like, oh my God, that is disgusting. But then there's also that great subplot with Ralph Fiennes' character and the male alpha zombie, and it's like weird that you find a friendship in weird places, and I thought that was just really potent and really innovative, and I thought that was really interesting to have in the movie. And one thing I just love that this horror film does, and when a horror film can do that, is just have that emotion, have a core. You know, this movie, as violent and as weird as it gets, it has a core to it, and it has a soul. And I thought that was really great. Nia DaCosta does a great job directing this movie. I'm really glad that she had a good comeback after doing The Marvels, which I do not blame her for at all. So this movie proves that she can be a fantastic director. So I'm excited to see whatever she does next. And yeah, I thought this movie was just really good. It kind of blended the best of both worlds. It has the horror and the awfulness that you want from a 28 Years Later movie, but it also has that potentness and that innovativeness that I thought they captured so well with 28 Years Later. So overall, a really awesome movie. I had a really good time with it. There's not really much I can pick out that I didn't like about the movie. I would say that 28 Years Later probably got me a bit more emotionally hooked than this film did, but that's okay. And I'm really excited for a third movie as long as they make it, because this movie did not do too well at the box office, but we'll see. Coming in number 2 for me is going to be Project Hail Mary. Now, my number 2 and 1 kind of flipped on a day-to-day basis, but I did recently just watch Project Hail Mary for the second time to show my parents it, and while I still absolutely love the movie, I mean, it's still this high on the list, there is a bit of a section in the middle that I feel like the movie slows down, but aside from that, I think this movie's pretty perfect. It manages to feel fresh, new, and original. Now, I'm also someone that read the book before I went into the movie. It's actually like the first book I finished, so yay me. It was cool to read something and then go see the movie, and then I'd sit in a room with people and be like, yeah, I know what's about to happen. Don't worry about it, it's gonna be fine. The movie was really, really fun. I thought that Ryan Gosling did a great job as our main character of Grace. I think Rocky is an absolute awesome character. I think the friendship that forms works out really well in the movie. And I just love the look of this movie so much. The practical sets that they used, the fact that they're on a soundstage, the fact this movie hardly uses any CGI is so impressive, and it makes the immersion so much better. There's also this graininess to it all that just adds that realism to it. I absolutely love the way this movie looks. It kind of feels like Interstellar light, but that's not saying that this is just like a worse version of Interstellar. It's just a way more like fun version of Interstellar in my opinion, but it has a similar plot. And what I think this movie does so well is it just does a great job of crafting a really good central storyline and then also another really good central storyline. You kind of have an A and B plot going on here. You have our character of Grace who's currently in the spaceship. He doesn't know why he's there. And then it keeps doing this flashbacks of explaining why things are happening. But the movie manages to make both equally as interesting. So it's not like you're watching one and it cuts to the other and you're like, come on, let's go back to the other one. No, it manages to make both really great. I think it does a really good job of intertwining those seamlessly. The movie might be a bit too long, but that's pretty much the only gripe I could have with it. I think this movie is a really fun blockbuster, and it's a one that I'm going to be rewatching a lot. Coming in number one, I mean, what else do you think it is? It's Minions. I'm joking, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's good. No, I'm talking about Obsession, and this movie was not my number one for the longest time, but it moved up there because I don't remember the last time I have had a movie stuck in my head for months. This movie has not left my head, and I saw it for the only one time back in May, and I'm still thinking about it. And the fact that this movie can do that makes me just that much more happier about it and makes me want to put it in that number one spot. Obsession manages to take such a simple and familiar concept of, you have someone who makes a wish, the wish goes wrong, and adds so many layers to it to make it so complex, and it spawns good conversation with people about where Bear went wrong. Is he the villain? I mean, I personally think he obviously is the villain, but like where in the story did he become the villain? And the fact that, you've seen so many movies of someone who makes a wish and it goes wrong, but the fact that this movie can take it, add so much depth to it, to such a simple story and such a small cast of characters, I think is so impressive. Obviously, Indy Neveretti is fantastic in this movie. She is just a brilliant actress, and she proves that throughout the whole film, whether it's her playing the real version of Nikki or her playing the messed up, fucked up version of Nikki. She does great in both realms, and she manages to have just some really creative facial expressions. There's even like a scene at the bar where she's just talking to Bear as normal Nikki, and she just seems like the most lovable, funny, and fun person to be around. And she just brings that so much to the film, but she's also really good in those scare sequences where she has to be fucked up and weird, and I think she does a great job there. And she does a great job just kind of carrying this film and learning about the character of Nikki and trying to figure out what's happening inside her head and where does the real Nikki pop out. That's all just the most interesting parts of the movie for me. And the fact that this movie can bring in such emotion to where you look at the character of Bear and you begin to understand, like when I first saw this movie, I mentioned in my negatives that Bear was an unlikable lead, and I understand that he's supposed to be unlikable, but it just didn't work for me. But thinking about more, I think that honestly I would scratch that negative out almost completely, because I think Bear is just an incredibly interesting character, an incredibly interesting look at that nice guy, but is he really a nice guy? And when he gets what he wants, will he ever give that up? So Bear is someone who doesn't have any confidence. He's really pathetic, and he finally gets the girl of his dreams, but he doesn't do it in the way that a normal person would do it. No, he decides to make a wish. And when he starts to see that this wish is affecting her in like horrible ways, and he starts to actually see that like it's affecting other people, he doesn't want to give it up because he's incredibly selfish, and that turns him into one of the most compelling characters and one of the more compelling villains, because he is absolutely the villain of this film. And the performance by Michael Johnstone, I just feel like it's really underlooked in this film, because I think he does a great job. And if you look at him really closely, of all these facial expressions he's making and stuff like that, he plays that pathetic loser so well, but he also just has so much power to this film. And that I thought was just a really interesting take on the character. And they make these characters so in depth that you really care about the relationship between everyone. And all these four main characters have such good chemistry with each other, as well as Bear and Nikki, because they have the worst chemistry, but then they also have great chemistry at the same time. You also cannot talk about this movie without saying the fact that this movie looks incredible. The movie is so well shot. The lighting is fantastic. I cannot get over some of these shots, and I'm like, gosh, this is crazy. But the best thing coming out of this movie is the fact that Curry Barker was able to make this movie his own, and it's doing so financially well, and the fact that a lot of the people going to see it are people my age is so cool, because it's like a new age of cinema, and that just makes me so happy. And it's so inspirational, because I'm someone that wants to do film when I'm older, and I want to direct movies, and seeing him being able to do that is so awesome. So it's just really, really cool. And yeah, just thinking about this movie, while the movie itself does not necessarily make me happy because it's pretty depressing and pretty gross and everything like that, the whole story and everything behind it, and seeing all these interviews with Curry Barker, that makes me so happy. So every time this movie crosses my mind, I am both equally in awe of the film itself and as well as the story behind it. So absolutely coming in number one, no question for me right now, is going to be Obsession. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Stay tuned for more videos coming very soon. Let me know down in the comment section, what are your guys' favorite movies of the year so far? I would love to see it. And also, what are your least favorite movies of the year so far? I would love to see that as well. Hit that like and subscribe button. And thank you guys so much. Bye.